Welcome to the Web Development Crash Course, designed specifically for beginners by Wsuits Industries. Let's build the web together. Hello guys, welcome back to the Web Dev Crash Course by Wsuits Industries. In this course, we are going to cover how to make our form interactive. So, what is a form? In HTML, a form is simply a place in which they input data and then they have to send the data to somewhere. So basically, this is a form that you are seeing right here. I've designed the form already. So I'm just going to walk you through the HTML code for the form. So basically, this is the HTML code for the form, starting from the section tab right here. So the section right here represents the main container for the form. So we are wrapping all the code for the form inside the section tag. Then we are giving it an ID of contact form. So now everything here is now representing contact form. Now we have given it a heading. Then the main form will create it using the form tag. Then a method, we're going to use post and action. These two attributes, please just use them consistently. You have not yet gone into the back end of websites, but this is mostly where back end will now communicate with the front end. Now, in every form, you have input fields. That is where you will input the information to the user, or where the user will input the information. So what we have right here is the label and the input. The label is simply the name that is going to be given to that input, and the input is where the user will actually put the information. The type here represents what type of data will be inputted or expected to be input into the input field. The ID is a name, and the name will be given to the input. And also, the required field is also used to tell if that field is required before the form will now be sent. So this is the basic syntax of creating a form. Link will be in the description. So basically, this is our form right here. So we need to write JavaScript in a way that JavaScript is going to find out if someone has clicked on the submit button. That is with the type submit. So every form has a default submit button. So this is a basic form we write right here. So remember that we have linked our JavaScript to our HTML. So now let's code. So the first thing we are going to do is that we are going to create a variable called form. Now after creating the variable called form, we are going to select the HTML element called form document.getElements by ID. We are going to say contact form. That is a section of the form. Now after doing this, we have selected it as a contact form. So if you check the HTML right here, it is seen as what contact form. So we are going to use the ID for this inside our code. Now the next thing we are going to do is we are going to add an event listener to listen if the user actually clicks on the submit button. So we'll say form.addEventListener, and we say submit. We say submit. So when we type the submit, it means that whenever the user clicks on submit, a function should run. So we have to use an arrow function, and I explained that arrow functions are simply functions that run automatically. You don't have to call them. It is just a function that you write and it will run automatically. So now when we type this, brackets open, then we give our arrow function, then we are going to give it a parameter right here called e. So this parameter is we are going to use it as some kind of variable to represent the function. So we are going to be able to control the function using this variable right here. So we come into our code. Now we have created our submit. So whenever they click on the submit button, this function right here is going to run. So whatever we type here, that is what is going to happen. So for instance, if I say console.log submitted, then I go back to our code and then I click on the submit button after filling the form. Then I click on submit. You have not seen anything actually, but what has happened in the background is that something will happen. So we have to go back here and click on it, and you can see that it says what the server responded with the status code of 405. We do not have any server connected, so you see what will happen. So we have to find a way to make that means the submit action really works. But what we're going to do is that we're going to use something called preventDefault. The preventDefault is going to prevent the page from refreshing. like the way it has done. So we click on e.preventDefault. Now the preventDefault is a method used to prevent the interface from refreshing the page after clicking on the submit button. So when we type this into the function, when we go back to our code and then we fill the form, subscribe, then we click on send, nothing has happened this time because we have used the prevent default, so to prevent this page from refreshing. So when we go back to our console, you can see that it says what? Submitted. That means the form was actually submitted. So what we are going to do next is we are going to find a way to now display a message on the screen to tell the user thank you for submitting. So we say alert, then we open a bracket and say thanks so much for submitting the form, comma, please subscribe. Now we do this, we will now have a message that will display on the screen telling the user thank you for submitting the form. So let's go and click on this. We fill the form, we give in the message subscribe, then we click on send. So it says thanks so much for submitting the form. So basically, anytime the submit function works, we can now be able to now copy the data right here, and that is for advanced. So thanks for watching the video. Please like, share and subscribe.